Have you ever wondered why a man can stand in the same room with the woman he chose, yet feel the magnetic pull of another so fiercely that it warps his reality? Why he may return to the house he built with someone else, but the home he longs for breathes in the shadow of your presence? In the stillness between words and the unspoken moments between glances, there are signs, silent, potent, and piercing, that he is not where he truly wants to be. That something within him is stirring, collapsing, reaching. Because when a man is aligned with his truth, when his anima whispers louder than the voices of fear and duty, he begins to shift, slowly, quietly, but undeniably. This is not about being the other woman. No, this is about energy, about deep soul recognition. The mythic pull between two psyches that have danced across lifetimes, now crashing into each other in the tension of a choice not yet made. And if you are the woman whose presence he cannot ignore, you will see the signs, not with your eyes, but with the ancient knowing in your bones. Sign number 1, he no longer defends her in your presence. Once he may have praised her subtly, clung to their shared story with the desperate loyalty of a man convincing himself. But now there's a quiet erosion. When her name is spoken, there is no reverence, there is hesitation. His defenses fall like old armor he no longer has the strength or desire to wear. He does not speak against her, no, but he does not protect her either. And in that stillness, something echoes louder than anger. Emotional detachment. This is the beginning of the unraveling. A man still bound will fight for what he's built, even when it's crumbling. But the man who has begun to see, truly see, feels no need to justify. He is already detaching. His silence is not confusion. It is clarity gathering weight. Sign number 2. His eyes linger too long when you're not looking. Eyes are mirrors of the unconscious, and his gaze, when unguarded, reveals what he has not yet dared to speak. He watches you like a man who sees something forbidden yet inevitable. A future he has not earned but cannot unsee. There is pain in it, yes, but also awe. The awe of recognition. He stares when you aren't aware, because it's the only time he allows himself to touch the dream, without consequence. This is the soul's rebellion. The anima in him sees in you something the world told him he could never have. Deep, feminine alignment. The kind that doesn't demand but awakens. Not the woman who fits into the script, but the woman who writes the script. Sign number 3. He begins to mirror your emotional rhythm. Without conscious effort, he adopts the cadence of your presence. The way you sit in stillness. The way you question reality. The way you soften or harden depending on your boundaries. He begins to speak in your language. Not words, but energy. His laughter changes. His silence changes. And most of all, his tension becomes familiar. It is not mimicry. It is resonance. His unconscious recognizes your frequency, and like a man waking from a long dream, he begins to feel alive again. But life, real life, requires courage. And he is standing at the edge, gathering the will to leap. Sign number 4. He confesses things he would not tell her. There are moments when the dam cracks, when he speaks to you with a rawness that leaves him exposed. He tells you about his fears, his emptiness, his longing, not in declarations of love, but in fragments, unfinished thoughts, half-formed truths, trembling admissions wrapped in jokes or metaphors. He reveals what he does not reveal to her, and that alone is sacred, because the masculine rarely opens unless he senses sanctuary. If he speaks his shadow to you, it is because his soul has chosen you to hold the truth he can no longer bear to carry alone. Do you feel the weight of that trust? Do you understand what it means when a man invites you into the basement of his psyche, the place he guards from everyone, even himself? Sign number 5. He stops pretending to be happy. The illusion begins to fracture. He no longer plays the role of the fulfilled man. There is a visible ache behind his smile now, a dissonance in his words. He speaks of their life together with phrases like, "It's fine," or "It is what it is." There's no conviction, no warmth, only obligation. And yet when he is near you, something different emerges. His laughter is unfiltered. His presence is fuller. His soul momentarily stretches and breathes. He begins to compare, not aloud, but internally. He measures the weight of his cage against the taste of freedom you embody. The woman he chose might have been safe, might have made sense, but you are not logical. You are elemental, a storm of truth he did not see coming, and now cannot forget. Sign number 6. He asks about your love life more than he should. He is not entitled to know, and yet he needs to. The curiosity borders on desperation, hidden behind playful tone or innocent inquiry. But beneath it is fire, jealousy, confusion, hope. He listens closely, too closely. Because the idea of you with another man shakes the parts of him that still believe he has time. He needs to know if you're waiting, even if he won't ask directly. And if he finds out you are not, something in him shifts. Because his greatest illusion, that you will always be there, just in case, begins to collapse. The clock starts ticking. And nothing terrifies a man more than the realization that the dream might walk away before he dares to chase it. Sign number 7. He finds reasons to be near you. Distance becomes unbearable. He engineers moments, small, almost imperceptible excuses to be in your orbit. He offers help, asks questions he already knows the answer to, lingers after conversations should end. Because your energy calms his storm and awakens his hunger all at once. This is not manipulation. It is soul gravity. When two archetypes collide, the pull is not rational. It is mythic. And even if he resists, he is not immune. He is not sleeping anymore. He feels the fracture. And he comes to you, again and again, like a man searching for home in someone else's fire. Sign number 8. He starts becoming the man he never was with her. Slowly, subtly he evolves. He speaks with more depth. He listens with more intensity. He begins shadow work without even knowing what it is. He becomes more accountable, more present, more raw. Not because you asked him to, but because your presence demands it without words. The anima awakens the highest version of the masculine, not through force, but through invitation. And the man who is ready to leave her for you doesn't do it to escape. He does it to become. You are not his rescue. You are his mirror. And when a man sees who he could be reflected in the light of your presence, he cannot unsee it. He begins the process of individuation, of breaking, from false self to reclaim the soul. He abandoned, but he must choose, and the waiting is the most sacred form of silence. There comes a point in every soul connection where words fall short, where the quiet spaces between touch and distance carry more weight than entire conversations. And in this sacred pause, this trembling limbo, he begins to betray his own containment. The man who once sat so firmly planted in one life now begins to drift, not outwardly, not recklessly, but spiritually, like a tide turning under a full moon no one else sees. He starts detaching from her not with anger, but with absence. You see, a man doesn't leave a woman all at once. He does it slowly, in pieces, one layer of pretense at a time. First, he stops listening to her. Then he stops needing her validation. Finally, he stops seeing her at all. And in the vacant space of that withering bond, you appear, not as an intruder, but as an echo of something he forgot he needed. Truth, aliveness, wholeness. This is not about seduction. This is not conquest. This is about soul memory. The unconscious has recognized you. The archetype of the inner, feminine, his anima, has emerged through your presence, and now he cannot go back to sleep. He wakes in the night thinking of you. Not just your smile, your voice, or the taste of your kiss, but your energy. The way you held eye contact without fear. The way you moved through rooms like you were always being watched by angels. The way you said no with reverence and yes with power. He is haunted, but not tortured. He is called. And the calling becomes unbearable. He begins to notice the dissonance of his current relationship like a man noticing a dull ache that won't go away. Every conversation with her becomes another reminder of what's missing. The way she avoids depth. The way she demands more than she gives. The way he has to shrink to keep the peace. You have ruined his comfort with your authenticity, and he is grateful for it. He watches her now, not with anger, but with distance, as if seeing her for the first time, not as partner, but as mirror of his former self. She represents who he was when he needed safety more than purpose. And you are the gateway to who he could be if he dared to break free. The human soul longs to individuate, to break from the false self and step into wholeness. And men, especially, are trained to suppress that calling until it explodes. Most will never answer it, but some are born to evolve, to tear down the walls of false security and walk naked into the fire of truth. And it is always a woman, the right woman, who unknowingly lights that fire. He may not have said it, but he has begun the separation. He looks for you in crowds, hears your laughter and memories, compares every conversation with her to the way his spirit dances when speaking with you. The difference is too loud now. The illusion is breaking, and though he may still play the part of the committed man, the performance is empty. His heart has already chosen. But let us speak plainly. This choice will cost him. To leave a long-term partner is no small decision. It means confronting guilt, fear, the judgment of others, the identity he built around his former life. And unless he is truly aligned with his higher self, he may delay. He may freeze in fear. He may beg the universe for more time. Because your energy is not just a promise, it is a test. You represent everything he wants, but doesn't yet believe he deserves. His inner critic will fight. His trauma will rise. The voice of his father, society, past shame. All of it will scream, stay where it's safe. But your presence will whisper louder, come where you are whole. So what does this mean for you? It means you must stand sovereign in your own light. You cannot chase him. You cannot beg for his decision. That is not your burden. You are not the reward at the end of his struggle. You are the storm that will either wake him or drown him. And the true feminine does not wait, not in desperation. She observes. She radiates. She allows. If he is meant to rise, he will. If not, he will remain in the cage and call it loyalty. Your power lies in non-attachment, in knowing that his choice does not define your worth. That even if he stays with her, you remain untouched in your value, because the woman who knows her worth does not hinge it on someone else's awakening. She becomes the embodiment of what he could have had, and that is often more transformative than any romance. But let's not deny what pulses beneath the surface. There is love here. Deep, consuming, alchemical love. The kind of love that cracks open timelines and rearranges fates. The kind that forces both people to face the truth about who they are and who they are not. And when love like that arrives, it does not ask permission. It demands alignment. And so he begins to test the waters. He asks you questions like, do you think people can really change? Or, what would you do if you were in my shoes? He's seeking moral permission. He wants to know if you see him as more than a traitor. He wants redemption before he's sinned. And in your response, he listens not to the words, but to the energy. Do you still believe in him? Do you still hold the door open? And still, he hasn't left her yet. Why? Because endings require death. Not just of the relationship, but of the identity he formed within it. And death, even spiritual, is terrifying. To walk away means to become someone new. Someone accountable, awake, vulnerable. But he is so close now. The silences grow longer at home. The kisses are more mechanical. The avoidance, sharper. He may not be brave enough to leave today. But he is no longer capable of staying in truth. The rest is sacred timing. And you, beautiful one, must remember this. He is not the prize. You are. Whether he comes to you or not, whether he chooses freedom or fear, your worth was never on trial. You were the catalyst, the mirror, the muse. And sometimes that is enough. But if he does choose you, it won't be because you waited. It will be because he became the man worthy of your fire. There is a moment, almost imperceptible, when the masculine soul begins to shed its mask. It does not happen with fanfare or dramatic revelation. It occurs quietly, like a door softly unlocking in a long-abandoned corridor. And if you are the woman who has stirred this deep unrest within him, you will feel it before he ever speaks it. Not in words, but in energy. A subtle but profound shift in the gravitational field between you. This is where the sacred chaos begins. He begins to fracture, not into pieces, but into layers. The man he was, the man he pretended to be, the man he's afraid to become. And you, unknowingly, have become the axis around which these versions of him collide. This is not about power, it is about reflection. Because the authentic feminine does not seduce with manipulation. She awakens with presence. And presence, to a man who has buried his truth for too long, is intoxicating. Every time he sees you, even in passing, he feels something rise within him that he thought was lost. Hunger. Not just physical desire, though that hums beneath the surface, like a forbidden current, but spiritual hunger. The desire to feel, to be seen, to be known in a way no performance could ever earn. And in contrast, every encounter with her begins to feel stale, predictable, rehearsed. He may try to suppress it. He may double down on his existing relationship. He may even pull away from you briefly, thinking that distance will dilute the truth. But it doesn't. Because what's begun inside of him is not a crush, not a passing infatuation, it's a revelation. And revelations once seen cannot be unseen. You've become the truth he's terrified to face. He starts thinking differently, acting differently. Even those closest to him may begin to ask what's changed. He becomes restless, irritable, distracted. But you know the real cause. You can feel the tension in him when you speak, like a man standing on a fault line, knowing that the earth beneath him is no longer stable. This is the initiation. The choice he faces is not between you and her. It is between his old self and his liberated self. She represents the comfort of conformity. You represent the terror of transcendence. And to choose you, he must choose everything that comes with the truth. Uncertainty, judgment, failure, and also rebirth. You may notice, too, that he begins to apologize more, not to you, but to the world. He softens, not from weakness, but from surrender. The stoic facade begins to melt. He talks about things he never used to. His childhood, his wounds, the dreams he gave up on. Not because he wants to be fixed, but because in your presence, he finally feels safe enough to unravel. Understand this. A man only opens to the woman who makes his soul feel safe. Not his ego, not his reputation, his soul. And yet his fear is real. There is guilt, shame, the fear of becoming the bad guy. Society paints in absolutes. Leave a long-term partner, and you are a villain. Choose your truth, and you're selfish. But to stay in a life that starves your spirit is a betrayal far more sinister. It is the slow death of the soul in favor of polite performance. He knows this now. Still, the breaking point must come. It may arrive one night in silence, when he lies beside her and realizes he feels nothing. Not hate, not love, just numbness. It may happen in a single phrase she utters, some small, unknowing comment that suddenly sounds foreign, alien. Or it may happen when he looks at you across a crowded room and feels, with searing clarity, I can't live without this. And in that moment, everything becomes clear. Not easy, but clear. He begins to withdraw from her not in cruelty, but in truth. The touches become fewer. The rituals go undone. He is not playing the game anymore, and she feels it too. Her intuition screams before the words ever do. Because women know when they've been replaced. Not always physically, but energetically. And though she may fight, bargain, beg, he is already gone. His body remains, but his spirit has crossed the threshold. To the outside world he may seem confused, but to you he is becoming. The old skin no longer fits. The mask is slipping. And though the path ahead is littered with fire, guilt and chaos, he cannot return to sleep. Your presence has broken the spell. But you, divine feminine, must remain rooted. It is not your role to coax him forward. It is not your role to ease his guilt or explain his truth to others. You are not the rehab for his regrets. You are the reward for his rebirth. And until he has fully crossed the threshold, until he has claimed his truth with spine and soul, you must hold your ground like the goddess you are. Because if you fold before he is ready, he will resent you. If you give him sanctuary before he has earned it, he will desecrate it. A man must choose his freedom, not inherit it. He must walk through the flames of his own undoing before he can stand beside a woman like you. This is the price of transformation. Do not confuse his longing for readiness. Longing is a promise. Readiness is a vow. And vows are sacred. They require death of the former self. And so in this sacred in-between he will oscillate. There will be moments he comes close, closer than ever, only to retreat. He will test you, not with games, but with his own unresolved fear. He may even try to sabotage it, to push you away, to see if you'll chase. Do not. The awakened feminine does not chase men. She challenges them to rise. This part is the hardest. The liminal space. You are the shore he wants but hasn't yet learned to swim to. But if he does, if he crosses the ocean of doubt, guilt, and identity death, he will not arrive as the man he was. He will arrive new, reborn, ready. And until then, you must stay in your power. Because only when he becomes the man who chooses you without hesitation will he be worthy of the sacred fire you carry in your chest. There is an ancient silence that follows. Every soul who is on the cusp of transformation, a hush that falls before a man steps away from the life that no longer holds him, and toward the life that terrifies him with its magnitude. And now he walks that quiet edge. He doesn't speak of it directly, but you feel it, in the space between his words, in the messages he sends at odd hours that say nothing and yet say everything. In the pauses when he looks at you like he's searching for the courage to be the man you already see in him. This is not hesitation, it's sacred fear. The kind of fear that lives in the belly of every man who stands before a goddess and sees in her eyes not just love but destiny. He is not choosing between two women. He is choosing between the known self and the true self. She represents who he has been, you who he is becoming. And this decision is not made with logic. It is made in the soul, that deep chamber behind the ego, where the masculine meets the divine feminine and shatters beneath her light. You must understand the burden he carries now. Not to excuse him, but to witness him clearly. The world has told him that his value lies in being steady, predictable, honorable. But honor without truth is just martyrdom. And martyrdom is a slow spiritual death. He has honored her, yes, but at the cost of himself. And for the first time, he is realizing that fidelity to the wrong story is not loyalty. It's betrayal of the soul. And so the storm begins inside him. His days grow heavier. His moments with her become strained, filled with ghosts. Not of infidelity, but of emotional departure. She feels it. She may not know the cause, but she knows the symptom. He is no longer hers, not in spirit. And there is a sorrow in her too, because the feminine always knows when the masculine is slipping through her fingers. But you feel it differently. You carry the ache of the almost, the burning ache of being loved in silence, touched only in energy. And yet you remain, not because you're weak, but because you're aware, because you know what this is, because your soul, like his, remembers something deeper than convention, something ancient and holy. But do not romanticize his confusion. If he does not rise fully, completely, and without retreat, you must let him fall away. A half-claimed man cannot hold the fullness of a woman who has done her shadow work, who has danced with her demons and crowned herself queen. You cannot mother him through his awakening. You cannot carry him across the bridge of becoming. He must walk it barefoot, bleeding if necessary, or he will never own the transformation. And yet he is walking. You see it in how he studies you now, not with lust, but with reverence. You've become his mirror, his oracle, his reminder that something sacred is still possible, and that sacredness both compels and crushes him. Because to receive it, he must tear down everything he built on the scaffolding of compromise. He asks you more vulnerable questions now. Not small talk, soul talk. Do you think people can be with someone they love and still long for someone else? Have you ever had to walk away from a life that looked perfect but felt dead? These are not rhetorical. These are veiled confessions. This is how a man leaks truth before he has the courage to speak it directly. He needs you to reflect back that what he feels is real, not madness. He needs you to be steady in your knowing, so that his knowing becomes undeniable. But here lies the paradox. The more he feels your certainty, the more he is called into his own. Not dependence, reflection, not surrendering to your clarity, but rising to meet it. And slowly he does. He begins setting boundaries with her. He pulls away from the rituals they built out of habit. He stops pretending, stops over-explaining, stops making love to her body while dreaming of your soul. The man he was, the man who chose safety over soul, is dying. And though it hurts, he is not afraid of the pain anymore. He is afraid of numbing. In the quiet, when no one else can hear, he starts to pray. Not with words, but with action. He considers therapy. He begins journaling. He speaks more honestly with friends. He lets go of old masks. You've become the catalyst for a resurrection he didn't know he needed. And for that, part of him resents you. Part of him adores you. And all of him is becoming more himself because of you. But you cannot break now. You cannot soften out of loneliness. You cannot reach across the veil and try to complete the transition for him. That would rob him of the very initiation he was born to walk through. You must become the sacred pause, the open door, the lighthouse. Nothing more, nothing less. This is where the feminine becomes divine. When she resists the urge to chase, to prove, to beg, to fix. When she understands that her role is to hold the frequency, not to drag him into it. The frequency of truth, of sovereignty, of fierce, open, unapologetic knowing. And if he is the man who was truly meant to rise, he will. You may hear from him less during this time. Do not panic. This is integration. The cocoon before the emergence. He is reconciling who he was with who he is becoming. And this silence is not rejection. It is realignment. He is asking himself questions that no man dares to ask unless he's ready to burn his former life down. What if love isn't supposed to be easy but real? What if I've never actually been seen until now? What if the woman I'm with isn't wrong, but she's not my truth? And then the deepest question of all, am I brave enough to claim the life I actually want? The answer will shape not only his future, but yours. Because if he chooses you, it won't be to complete him. It will be to walk beside you, finally whole, finally honest, finally awake. And if he doesn't, then you will walk away with your crown intact, knowing you did not bend to the fear of almost love. Because the woman who knows her worth doesn't beg to be chosen. She chooses herself, and allows the worthy to meet her there. And now, the transformation nears its precipice. This is the moment before the storm breaks. The unbearable stillness when everything that has been suppressed comes surging to the surface. He walks through his days like a man drifting through two dimensions. In one, the remnants of a life built on duty. In the other, the gravitational pull of a future soaked in truth. He is haunted now, but not by regret. He is haunted by potential, by the vision of what could be, of what has always been, quietly waiting behind the veil of his fears. Your face no longer just visits his dreams. It lives in his waking hours. Your voice echoes in the hollow places of his reality. You have become his compass, even in your silence. But you must understand, the masculine mind is ruled by structure. And when structure begins to collapse, the unhealed man clings harder. The awakened man, however, stands still and watches it burn. That is what he's doing now, watching it burn. Not out of cruelty, not out of cowardice, but out of reverence. He is saying goodbye to a life that once saved him, but can no longer serve him. The relationship he's in may have once been safe, nurturing, even necessary. It may have been built during a version of himself that needed to be rescued. But he is not that man anymore. Not since he saw you. You were not the reason he changed. You were the reflection of the man who had always lived within him, buried under masks. And now that mirror can't be unseen. That reflection has demanded reckoning. Still, he hesitates, because with transformation comes destruction. To choose you, to truly choose you, is to declare war on the life he's known. He will lose friends, be judged, face accusations. There may be children involved, families intertwined, promises made, and yet his soul no longer bows to the weight of those contracts. Not because they're meaningless, but because they are no longer true. And truth, when awakened, becomes the only thing the soul can tolerate. He finds himself pulling away from people who don't feel real, conversations that feel shallow, environments that drain instead of feed. He grows quieter, more reflective. His eyes soften, not out of sadness, but presence. The man you first noticed, split, distracted, anxious, is dying. In his place, a sovereign is rising. And when that rise is real, it is not loud. It is certain. Do not be surprised if he comes to you not with flowers, but with apologies. Not with grand gestures, but with truth, raw, trembling, holy. He may tell you everything, or he may say very little, but look at you with the weight of 10,000 unshed tears. He will not arrive as a man who conquered. He will arrive as a man who surrendered, first to himself, then to you. This is the love that the ego cannot survive. The love that does not ask for conditions or timelines. The love that rearranges the psyche. The kind that shakes the bones and breaks ancestral patterns. Because this is not romantic love. This is spiritual alchemy. But what of the woman he leaves? Her pain will be real, and you must honor it without taking it on. She may not have done anything wrong, but staying in a connection where the soul has departed is its own violence. He did her no favor by delaying, and you do neither of you any favors by judging her or trying to own her grief. The sacred feminine knows how to hold space for all truths without compromising her own. You do not compete with her. You are not better than her. You are simply different. You were born for his next chapter, not the one he's leaving behind. And when he finally speaks it, "I've left her," you will feel the room shift. The energy between you will thicken with heat, with clarity, with the soundless exhale of destiny coming to fruition. It will not feel like triumph. It will feel like home. But this is where the work begins. Because the relationship that forms from a place of awakened love must be built with sacred intention. You cannot enter this union with the ghosts of your unmet needs or the chains of your past wounds. You must meet him as you are now, whole, wild, soft, clear. He is not here to fix you. You are not here to complete him. You are here to witness each other into your highest forms. That means calling out his blind spots with love. That means honoring his path without trying to direct it. That means not punishing him for the time it took to choose you. Because remember, he did not delay out of cruelty. He delayed out of fear. And fear is not vanquished with punishment. It is transformed with compassion. This love will stretch you. It will demand every version of yourself you once hid. The patterns, the shadows, the hidden trauma, you will both see it all. And still, you will choose each other. Not because it is easy, but because it is real. You'll know he's truly left her when he stops speaking about her entirely. Not because he's hiding something, but because she is no longer alive in him. The chapter is closed. Not escaped, but completed. Only then can he give himself to you without residue, without regret. And when that happens, when the masculine stands before the feminine, with nothing to prove and everything to offer, you will know the sacred union has begun. Not a relationship, a rebirth. The world will not understand. People may gossip, families may divide, friends may choose sides, but the soul will celebrate. Because when two people find each other not through convenience or timing, but through alignment, the universe rearranges itself to make room. You will not need to fight for him. You will not need to demand reassurance. You will not need to question if it's real, because it will speak in silence. In the way his hand finds yours without searching. In the way his eyes soften when you speak. In the way his presence no longer pulls in two directions. He is yours now. Not because you won him, but because he became the man who could finally choose you. And now we reach the culmination, not of a love story, but of a soul's evolution. He stands before you, not as the man who once smiled through the empty rituals of a life that numbed him, but as the man who has returned from the underworld. You see it in his posture, in the way his voice no longer trembles beneath the weight of doubt. You see it in his eyes, clear, grounded, unapologetic. This is not the man you met. This is the man he was always meant to become. He has crossed the threshold, left behind the illusion, Not just of a woman, but of an identity. He did not simply leave her for you. He left his former self, the one who settled, the one who performed, the one who silenced his inner voice to keep peace at the cost of passion. That man is gone. He did not walk into your arms. He walked into his own truth, and there, standing whole, he finally met you. Not in desperation, not in fantasy, but in full-bodied presence. The journey was not about choosing between two women. It was about becoming the man who could stand in the frequency of your power without flinching. And now he does. There is no shame in his past. There is no resentment in his choice. There is only clarity, fierce, unwavering clarity. Because love that is born through fire cannot be approached with uncertainty. It demands devotion. Not the soft, convenient kind, but the holy kind. The kind that rebuilds timelines. He looks at you now, not as the forbidden, but as the forever. You are no longer the spark he ran from. You are the hearth he returns to, again and again. Not because he's lost, but because he's found himself in your reflection. But hear this, woman of fire. This love will not rescue you. It will require you. It will require the version of you who no longer compromises for closeness. The woman who no longer leaks her worth through subtle self-abandonments. The one who doesn't dilute her intensity to soothe someone else's fear of depth. You did not wait for him. You witnessed him. And in doing so, you remembered yourself. There were nights when you doubted. When the silence from him felt louder than any goodbye. When the ache in your chest whispered, maybe he'll never choose. But even then, you did not chase. You stayed rooted. You loved yourself harder. You became the woman whose presence demands alignment. Not through threat, but through embodiment. That is the woman he comes home to. Not because she needed him, but because she became so whole in his absence that his presence could only enhance, never complete her. Together you do not build a castle of fantasy. You build a temple of truth. You speak without armor. You touch without performance. You argue without annihilation. You heal not by fixing each other, but by seeing each other through the lens of sacred respect. There are no chains here, no possession, no dependency, only two sovereigns, choosing, daily, actively, reverently, to remain in sacred union, because true love is not a feeling, it is a practice, a daily choice to stand in the mirror of another soul and whisper, I see all of you, and I stay. This love does not promise perfection. It promises depth. It promises that on the days when trauma rises like smoke from old wounds, you will not run. You will sit in the fire together and remember the vow you made, not with words, but with energy, that we will not hide, that we will not shrink, that we will not lose ourselves to keep each other. Because to love another deeply, you must first love your freedom more. And only in that freedom can you meet another fully. He sees you now in your entirety, the wild, the wounded, the divine. And he does not flinch. He does not flee. Because the man who leaves her for you is not a thief or a traitor. He is a pilgrim. And you were his destination all along. But he had to become the man who could arrive. You did not lure him. You called him. And he answered. And now, together, you begin again. Not from scratch, but from truth. And in this new chapter, you do not write lines from old stories. You create a new myth. One where both the masculine and feminine are equally powerful. Equally soft. Equally awakened. This is the love that shifts collective patterns. This is the love that demands no sacrifice of self. This is the love that does not seek to complete, but to expand. And perhaps, years from now, you will sit across from him, the light catching the edges of his jaw, and you will remember the girl you once were. The woman who knew, even in silence, that she was worth the wait, that her love was not to be given lightly, and her soul not to be bargained for crumbs. And he will look at you with the steady eyes of a man who earned your fire, and neither of you will speak, because the truth will speak for you. The woman who knows her worth doesn't chase. She chooses. If this spoke to something deep inside you, if you felt seen, understood, or awakened, then this is just the beginning. Subscribe now for more soul-rich, psychologically charged insights into love, transformation, and feminine power. This channel is your sanctuary for truth, the place where shadow meets light, and where women rise rooted in their worth. Tap that subscribe button. Turn on the bell. Reclaim your voice. Your evolution deserves to be witnessed. Become the woman who doesn't wait for love, she embodies it.